The Ontario College of Trades was created to act as a self-regulating and self-financing system to oversee the trades in Ontario. Jim Hogarth is the spokesperson for the Progressive Certified Trades Coalition and business manager for the Ontario Pipe Trades Council. He joins us today. The Progressive Certified Trades Coalition, who do you represent?
The coalition is composed of compulsory trades, some of the compulsory trades, and contractor associations that jointly have come together in regards to the Dean Review.
So Jim, who are some of these people that you just mentioned as certified trades?
Well, first and foremost, it's the UA, United Association of Plumbers and Steamfitters, which the Ontario Pipe Trades Council is part of. The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, the Sheet Metal Workers, and various contractors or associations that represent them or work in counter to them.
So as I understand it, you have both labor and management on this together?
Yes, not fully on board, not all of them on board, but we do have a good majority of them in support of our position in regards to changes we'd like to see coming from the Dean Review.
And I also read on your website that the union and non-union groups are also supporting this type of initiative.
Yes, there's a lot of concern in the industry to some of the changes that they're recommending, and they've come together with common interest protecting the compulsory trades.
You've come together to deal with the Dean Review on the Ontario College of Trades. What specifically is the College of Trades? Because a lot of people are not familiar. They know the College of Physicians and Surgeons or the Teachers College, but the College of Trades is relatively new. Can you explain a little bit about the college?
Well, the college is, I think, 2 years old now, just over 2 years. And it was brought together to give a voice to the industry, the compulsory trades within the construction industry and elsewhere, so we can better govern ourselves, promote ourselves, and just make the trades a stronger and more viable option for young kids coming into the industry.
Now, when they set up the College of Trades, it was supposed to be a self-regulating, self-financed body where the industry actually runs the college. Is that correct?
Yes, up to approximately a year ago, that was the way it was envisioned, and that's the way it worked until the government looked at it upon its second-year anniversary and said, we need to have a review of the college to make it even stronger and more productive.
Now, what type of changes is the government proposing that concerns you?
Well, there's 3 areas of concern, but there's 31 recommendations coming out of the report, of which we support 28 of them. There's 3 that are of concern. Primarily is the enforcement. What body is going to do look at it and be set the guidelines for enforcement. And right now they're looking at the OLRB, which in our opinion is not the right place to go.
And what is the primary function of the Ontario Labour Relations Board?
They've been around for years, and they're basically the body we go to when there's disputes between unions, between labor and employer.
So they basically interpret contracts and jurisdiction between employers and unions, and between unions and other unions.
Yes, and unions and their members.
And their members. So they take on sort of a quasi-judicial role in adjudicating these types of disputes?
Yes, but it's primarily based on past practice, employer practice. It's not, it hasn't been based upon compulsory certification and scope of practice.
So Jim, there's different groups within the construction trades, some of which are compulsory and some are not. Which ones are compulsory trades right now?
Well, there's 7 compulsory trades, or 6, and there's a 7th will become compulsory as of 2017.
The reason why these trades are deemed compulsory is?
Because of the work they do and the systems they put in, that it was deemed that they need to have compulsory certification, compulsory training, and skill sets put in place to ensure that that safety is definitely there for public safety.
If somebody decides they want to be a plumber, which is a compulsory trade, how long does that person, from the day they decide, from graduation of high school, they want to go into the trades and become a plumber, how long does that process take?
The process takes 5 years from inception of being, accepted as an apprentice and going through with 3 terms of trade school included.
And they, during those 5 years, are what's known as an apprentice.
Yes.
And then at the completion of that, they're given their certification and they're now a journey person.
Yes, upon writing the final exam.
Because of that, that sounds to me that there's some 10,000 hours that they need to put in to be able to qualify as a plumber.
Yes, it's approximately 10,000, and it's for all the trades.
An electrician or a sheet metal worker or refrigeration or sprinkler, you're looking at a significant investment of time to get through and be certified in that craft.
Yes, and it's mandatory that you put the time in and that you also do the 3 terms of trade school.
With this Dean review, the review that was by the former Cabinet Secretary Tony Dean, he's made, as you pointed out, 31 recommendations, 28 of which you're okay with, 3 that are somewhat problematic that would have an impact on the trades. Briefly outline what those 3 areas are.
Well, the one is the OLRB. And
The Labor Relations Board.
Labor Relations Board, I'm sorry, and they're been given the task of deciding whether it's a compulsory task or not. And we have issues with that in a sense because the OLRB is not set up to be a governing body or to rule over what is scope of practice for the trades.
The Ontario Labor Relations Board doesn't have people who are practicing any of the trades, if I understand that correctly.
Yeah, you're correct. They have none.
So how are they making decisions on areas that really require some expertise in terms of the actual trades?
Well, this is our concern. Where was the forethought of giving them that mandate when they don't have the resources, they don't have the expertise to make those decisions? And so they're taking it out of the hands of the college, where that is the people that are experts at the compulsory status.
Now, another area that you mentioned had to deal with the scope of practice.
Yes.
First of all, what is a scope of practice?
Scope of practice defines the trade. There's 157 trades, and they all have a scope of practice. Some do overlap into other fields, but that is what's defining that trade, is the scope of practice.
So why is it important for the compulsory trade to have its scope of practices clearly defined without overlap?
Well, the compulsory trades put in a system, and it's a complete system. It's not, you can't take a piece of a system and say, well, that's common to many trades, they can do it. No, you're putting in a system, and that the whole system is integrated and works together. So what happens at one end could affect what happens at the other end of it.
So if I understand in reading the Dean report, he recommended where there's an overlap that now be considered common and be taken out of the scope of practice for that particular trade.
Well, I don't think he said it would take it out of the scope of practice, but it would allow it to be done by another trade. But as our concern is, as I said, we're putting in a complete system.
So Jim, when people talk about scopes of practices and how they impact on individual safety, can you give us an example of how that could affect people?
Well, you know, all the compulsory trades have safety concerns in what they do and how they install the systems. But it's not just installing, it's the after effect where, you know, if it's put in wrong, you know, a steam line, you know, with the expansion, and you have to put in proper hangers and anchors at specific points throughout the system. If it's done improperly and the system is started up as well improperly, it could cause incredible damage to not only the you know, the facility, the structure, but, you know, personnel around it can get burnt, can get killed, and that's just on, you know, on a steam line. But then you can get into your electrical. If things aren't done properly, things sealed off properly, water gets in, whether it's in an underground system through a conduit that's not sealed, and the water gets in with it. There could be shortages that could affect, you know, electrocutions, could be fires, could be any number of things. And it doesn't have to be during construction. Those effects could take place 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years later because it was installed improperly.
So there's a lot of risk if the person's not properly trained and certified in that particular area.
It has to be, as I said before, we put in systems, and you can't dissect a system and piece it off to different groups.
So yesterday, your organization had meetings at Queen's Park with MPPs for the last 2 days. How did that go, and what results do you think that it's produced?
Well, it went very well. At first, you know, some of the MPPs were not aware. We did bring them up to speed on what was going on. Through the course of the day, word got back to us that they are listening. So, you know, the concern is getting out there. The message is getting out there. We're not going to stop just because the 2 days of lobbying's over. We are going to continue to push our issues.
So Jim, if people wanted to learn more about this issue, where would they find out?
Well, they can go to our website, which is protradessafe.on.ca, and there's full disclosure of our concerns as well as other information, the full 31 issues that they are recommending in our 3 areas of concern.
Jim, thank you so much for being a part of the show today. I've been chatting with Jim Hogarth, spokesperson for the Progressive Certified Trades Coalition. We'll be back with The Point.